Which virtual technology enables the use of multiple desktops without requiring expensive hardware for each machine? Virtual machines. Virtual machines are software-based emulations of physical computers. They allow multiple operating systems and desktops to run on a single piece of hardware, reducing the need for multiple physical computers. Key benefits of virtual machines. Cost-effective. One physical machine can host multiple desktops. Isolation. Each VM operates independently. Flexibility. Easily create, delete, or clone VMs as needed. Use cases. Ideal for testing, development, remote desktops, and training environments. Where should a file server be placed in the network when setting up a file server for the accounting department? In the secure network. Secure network is a protected internal network used to host critical resources, such as a file server for the accounting department, by restricting access to authorized users and ensuring data confidentiality and integrity. This placement prevents unauthorized access while allowing employees to securely store and share sensitive financial information within the organization. Which type of server restricts access to websites containing potentially harmful or controversial content? Proxy. A proxy server can be configured to filter and restrict access to specific websites based on rules or content categories. It acts as a middleman between users and the Internet, and it can block harmful, inappropriate, or distracting websites, log user activity for security or compliance, improve performance by caching frequently visited sites, control bandwidth usage. Proxy servers are commonly used in schools, businesses, and public networks to enforce browsing policies and protect users. What do Netflix and Hulu serve as examples of? Virtual application streaming. Netflix and Hulu are examples of virtual application streaming, where users access and interact with content, videos, hosted on remote servers, streamed directly over the Internet without downloading the full content. Why it's called virtual application streaming. The media player interface acts like a virtual app running on the user's device. The actual video content is delivered in real time from cloud-based servers. It allows on-demand access to media without installation or permanent storage. Which of the following does not use a virtual machine to create a virtual workspace? '53. Linux Containers does not use full virtual machines. Instead, it uses container-based virtualization, which shares the host OS kernel while isolating user space environments. Key differences. LXC, lightweight, runs directly on the host OS without a separate virtual machine. ideal for high performance and efficiency. KVM and Xen use hardware-assisted virtualization to create full virtual machines with separate OS instances. EMU, generic term, often refers to emulator. Typically mimics hardware, software environments, not necessarily creating VMs or containers. A user wants to set up a cloud environment that can scale quickly based on resource demand. Which option should they configure? Rapid elasticity. Rapid elasticity is a core feature of cloud computing that allows resources, like CPU, memory, storage, etc., to scale up or down automatically based on current demand. It's ideal for environments with fluctuating workloads, such as e-commerce sites, streaming platforms, or application servers. Key features: on-demand resource adjustment, automatic scaling without manual intervention, supports cost efficiency and performance optimization. Where are good hypervisors like ESXi often booted from? USB thumb drives. ESXi, developed by VMware, is a Type 1 bare metal hypervisor, meaning it runs directly on physical hardware, not on top of another operating system. In real-world deployments, ESXi is often booted from a USB thumb drive or an SD card for several practical reasons. Saves space. Internal drives can be dedicated to virtual machines instead of the hypervisor. Efficient, ESXi has a small footprint, making USB an ideal and stable boot medium. Easy maintenance. Replacing or reconfiguring the hypervisor is easier with removable media. Cost-effective. No need to use expensive internal storage for the hypervisor OS. What is the term for a virtual environment where an application uses memory and processing power from a provider, with a rental rate that varies based on the resources used monthly? Metered service. A metered service in cloud computing refers to a billing model where the customer is charged based on the actual amount of resources consumed, such as CPU usage, memory, storage, or network bandwidth. Key features of metered service: pay-as-you-go pricing. Usage is monitored and recorded by the provider. Encourages efficient use of resources. Common in IaaS and PaaS models. Which server type should be used to process external authentication requests? Radius. Radius, remote authentication. Dial-in user service is a network protocol and server used to handle authentication, authorization, and accounting. AAA for users trying to connect to a network, especially for external or remote access. Radius server functions. Verifies user credentials. Grants or denies access permissions. Logs connection activity. Accounting. Commonly used in Wi-Fi authentication, VPN access, Enterprise Network Logins. Which module does server virtualization rely on in Windows Server 2012 R2? Hyper-V. Hyper-V is a hypervisor module in Windows Server 2012 R2 that enables server virtualization by allowing multiple virtual machines to run on a single physical server. It provides resource management, isolation, and flexibility for various workloads, ensuring efficient use of hardware while enhancing scalability and system security. How is a virtual machine stored when it is not running? Files. When a virtual machine is not running, it is stored as a set of files on a hard drive or SSD. These files include virtual disk files, e.g., .vhd, .vhdx, .vmdk, contain the VM's operating system, applications, and data. Configuration files define the VM settings, CPU memory network. Snapshot files save the VM state at a specific point in time. This file-based structure allows virtual machines to be easily backed up, moved, and restored. A remote server that hosts a virtualized user OS is an example of which technology? VDE. Virtual desktop infrastructure is a technology that allows desktop operating systems, like Windows, to be hosted on a centralized server and accessed remotely by users over a network. Key features of VDI. The user's OS runs on a virtual machine hosted on a remote server. Users interact with their virtual desktops via a client device. All processing and storage happens on the server, not the local machine. Great for centralized management, security, and remote work setups. Which DNS record type represents an IPv6 host? (4A). A DNS AAA record maps a domain name to an IPv6 address. It is similar to the A record, which maps to an IPv4 address, but the AAA record supports the newer 128-bit IPv6 format. A maps to IPv4, not IPv6. CNAM, used to alias one domain name to another, not for IP addresses. MX specifies mail servers for a domain, used in email routing, not host IPs. Which of the following terms can refer to both processor cores and processor threads? Logical processors. Logical processors is a term that can refer to both processor cores and processor threads by representing the total number of processing units available to the operating system. This includes physical cores and virtual cores created through technologies like hyper-threading, enabling efficient workload distribution and improved parallel processing performance. Which of the following is an advantage of a virtual machine over a physical machine? Hardware consolidation. Hardware consolidation is one of the biggest advantages of using virtual machines, VMs. It allows you to run multiple VMs on a single physical machine, each with its own operating system and applications. This reduces the number of physical servers needed, power and cooling costs, physical space requirements, maintenance effort. This is especially valuable in data centers and enterprise environments. In virtualization technology, what is the name of the software program that manages multiple operating systems or instances of the same OS on a single computer system? Hypervisor. A hypervisor, also called a virtual machine monitor or VMM, is the software layer that allows you to run multiple operating systems, called guests, on a single physical machine, the host. There are two types of hypervisors. Type 1, bare metal runs directly on hardware. Type 2, hosted runs on top of an existing OS. The hypervisor allocates system resources, CPU, memory, etc., and isolates VMs from each other. Which native hypervisor is available on Windows 10 Pro and higher operating systems? Hyper-V. Hyper-V is a Microsoft-developed virtualization platform that allows users to create and manage virtual machines on a Windows system. It enables multiple operating systems to run concurrently on a single physical device, offering an efficient and seamless virtualization solution for IT professionals and developers. Hyper-V is the native hypervisor developed by Microsoft and is included in Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Enterprise, Windows 11 Pro, Windows Server editions. How is a cloud computing provider able to deliver scalable services to several different clients? Resource pooling. Resource pooling is a key concept in cloud computing that allows a cloud provider to serve multiple clients using a shared pool of computing resources, such as storage, processing power, memory, and network bandwidth. These resources are dynamically allocated and reassigned according to customer demand. Clients typically don't know the exact location of the hardware, but can access the services they need when they need them. Key benefits: supports multi-tenancy, increases efficiency and utilization, enables scalability. What is the term for a virtual machine manager? Hypervisor. A hypervisor is the virtual machine manager, the core software that allows multiple virtual machines to run on a single physical host. It manages and allocates system resources like CPU, memory, and storage to each VM, while ensuring isolation and performance. There are two types. Type 1, bare metal, runs directly on hardware. Type 2, hosted runs on top of an existing OS. Where are good hypervisors like ESXi often booted from? USB thumb drives. Hypervisors like VMware, ESXi, are often installed and booted from USB thumb drives or small dedicated storage devices. This method allows keeping the hypervisor lightweight and separate from other system storage, easy upgrades and reinstallations without affecting data disks, freeing up the main drives for virtual machine storage. While ESXi is a bare metal hypervisor, Type 1, it requires some persistent storage to load the hypervisor software, and USB drives are common for this purpose.